Oh man, life lesson. There's no need to rush. You can take your time to listen, to consider before speaking. He was just so wise. He never took up space in a room to make anyone else feel small. He was just considered and was really patient. That's a bunch of life lessons popped into one, but mainly just being patient and just waiting and just allowing yourself to just be present. There's so much. I can't just choose one.
I love telling, and I've told it a million times of my final callback, which was the screen test for the movie. And Chadwick and I are doing our scene, and it's going really well. And the producers just say, "Can you guys wrestle around a bit?" And without hesitation, we start like grappling and wrestling, and I split my pants open. And my beads, I was wearing like wrist beads, and they go everywhere. And we all bust out laughing. And he's like, "I think this guy's the one. He's the one." And I said, "If I don't get this job, you need to buy me new pants, for the least." I think, the memories that you have of that person, a lot of times, especially a person like Chadwick, is filled with a lot of joy. And I think one of the best ways to remember him is in joy and with joy. And I think that's what we're doing here tonight. We're remembering him, honoring him. This movie does that, from start to finish. And there's nothing else that feels more right than that. So, the through line with him is that he's a really honorable man and that he's a stress test. So he stress tests every situation to make sure that they deserve to be where they are. One. A thing that changes is his relationship to everything because he's very much the traditionalist, but he is forced to come to reckon with the world changing around him and becoming so much bigger, the universe even, with the events of Endgame and all that. It's like they're encountering all kinds of intergalactic personalities, you know what I mean? So their world and their universe has broadened and expanded with beyond anything he could ever imagine. So really just like understanding that and having him shift with the shifts because he has no choice. Once you encounter a Thanos, you can't just say, "Hey, I'm in the mountains and I'm only about the mountains now." He has to be bigger. He has to really see what things can be.
Oh man, I have to choose one, huh? Um, I would say that um, when we were promoting the last film, we were on our way to South Korea, dog tired, and I woke up from a nap on the plane, and I looked over to Chadwick, and he was reading a very dense book, and it was some book on African history of some kind, and I was just like, wow, you're reading this at this hour? Like, what's going on? And he was really engrossed in it. And we ended up having a long conversation about what this moment of sharing Black Panther with the world meant to us, what it meant to our people. And it was just a really a lovely conversation. And it was just a reminder that Chadwick was always learning. He was never tired of learning, and he brought everything he learned to his work. He studied humanity, and so yeah, that's a fun memory. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I strive to be an eternal student, and I think Chadwick was that too. Well, I don't think it's starting over. I think it's allowing character to evolve just as much as we allow ourselves to evolve. And Ryan gave us an opportunity to really grow as characters. He wrote characters that were in a different stage in their life, and that's what you're feeling. But hopefully, there's a through line because, uh, yeah, like who we are doesn't need to be who we always are. We get to redefine ourselves as we move along, and hopefully, that through line tells an interesting story.
Oh, well, I think, that that we want to be here for his foundation, that he was a big part of who we are, and we are still, in this, on this journey together, even though he's with us in spirit. But it's a part of his legacy. It's going to touch others, just like his image on that screen made such an impact.
In a way.
Absolutely, moments. Vacillated between the two. In the big scenes when we were all together, it's like, I'm sitting upon this throne, so I have to bring it. Have to bring everything that I have up to this moment, and then of course we're very emotional. Some of our, cast members were very, felt so deeply, and it's how do you process and use that and maybe put it in the work and put all those feelings that's so true and honest instead of trying to get rid of them or push them to the side. Sometimes you can use them for the good of the work. So I was there for that also. And then we also had young ones who, individuals who are new to this MCU journey and new to Wakanda. And so it was about embracing them and welcoming them. And that's what a mom does.
There was a bunch of stories about him, but the beautiful part of all of this is it was the spark in the eyes of the people when they were talking about him. That spark for me was like, oh my God, this man has to be a giant. So when you go to that set and there was a giant set, it's so great, such a beautiful and breathtaking experience to be there. And all of this team, all of these guys, they were so fantastic. So it's beautiful to be part of this wonderful family. Well, I'm not I don't know exactly if we haven't seen it or not, but the thing is, we try to go deep in the emotions and motivation of a simple man, a common man. I know this is a superhero; he has superpowers and everything, but at the end, it was just a simple man with the motivations. Human motivation, protecting his family, protecting his people, protecting his heritage and culture, and that's it. And I think in that point, with those motivations, everybody can feel identified. And I think that's the secret and the key of this character. Everybody can embrace the same motifs.
That is, it's a great question. That really is who he was and the legacy that he left for us. And the reason why this film was made was because he really he signified that. And when Ryan said, we're going to do this because that's what I know he would want, it really is about that continued fight that he showed, that he exhibited in his work and in his struggles, and that we know he wanted us to do as well. So the fact that this is happening, seeing his name like that as a part of this foundation in the Smithsonian, I mean, it just means everything. It's just so him. It's actually so him. So it feels really right. The way that Simone has navigated this difficult time, has anchored us all, and I know she was an anchor for him, and I'm thankful to know her. I'm thankful to ever be in her presence, and the fruits of all the ways that she has kept his legacy going are right here, right now, tonight. So I'm just so thankful to be here.
I mean, that's what he was all about. Chad, that was how he lived. He understood the value of the moment that he was in historically, but also was constantly on the go, constantly pushing. So I think it's not like two different things. You know what I'm saying? We met Chadwick through doing the work of making the first Black Panther, forged an incredible relationship through there, and learned about him and how he lived his life. And so when we lost him, it only made sense to try to follow in his footsteps. He was a guy who led by example, and we were trying to follow that example. Man, that's an interesting question. Yeah, for me, I tend to start with questions, and the questions I think that we ask ourselves as creatives, and I got a lot of collaborators that I work with. Joe Robert Cole, my co-writer, being one of them, Nate Moore and Kevin Feige are my producers, and a lot of other folks. and the actors eventually when they become involved. But we just ask questions and we say, hey, are we getting to the truth of this question? You know, and I think if you can pull from a type of truth, then the audience will recognize it and then they'll have an emotional response to it. And now everybody's emotional response will be different. So it's actually I don't aim for a particular emotion. You know what I mean? It's more focusing on the question.